My name is Claudine Parsons. I'm a survivor of the Route 91 shooting in Las Vegas on October 1st, 2017. Prior to the Las Vegas shooting, I had never had formal active shooter training. At the airport I work at, which is Edmonton Airport, the airport authority offers a monthly lunch and learn, which goes over what to do in the case of an active shooter. Many of my peers had been through that training, and I had spoke with many of them and kind of understood what the training was all about, but I had never actually ever attended myself. The night of the shooting was the third night of the concert. It was the final night. Jason Aldean had just hit the stage. We had made our way kind of close up. That was our goal that night, was to get as close as possible. We were enjoying ourselves. It was myself, my spouse, and another couple that we're friends with. And the four of us were just having a great time, enjoying the concert. He was in on his third song, and suddenly there was four loud pops. It sounded basically like pop, 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 pop. I looked to my spouse and asked him what that was. And the guy in front of us said, "It's fireworks." So I looked up to the sky, which was towards Mandalay Bay, and there was no fireworks. Within seconds, gunfire erupted all around us. My spouse and I and our friends turned. We realized we had nowhere to go. We were surrounded by thousands and thousands of people. My spouse then dropped me to the ground and laid on top of me. We were surrounded by people doing the same and surrounded with the feeling of bullets flying all around us. We could hear people screaming, people being shot, people seeing people being shot. It was everywhere. My spouse lied on me for the next 4 minutes, as that was what we now know is the length of the first round of gunfire. He was telling me that, and our friends, that as soon as the gunfire stopped, we needed to run. We had to run, we had to get out of there. And the gunfire did stop, and he grabbed onto me. Our friends hung on to each other as well, and the four of us ran as fast as we could to the exit that we had, towards the exit that we had used every single night to exit out of the venue. So we knew, we had a good idea where an exit possibly was. However, within minutes of us, not even minutes of us starting to run, gunfire erupted again. And at that point, our spouses once again dropped us to the ground and laid on top of us. We then again responded to the end of gunfire by running. And at that time, we ran past people who were frozen, just looking up to the sky, thinking, what's going on? People who were telling us nothing's happening. And we were running, thinking, of course there's something happening. We ended up going into a trade booth type environment where there was a woman standing there in complete shock, looking out into the concert venue where people were lying, running, all different unimaginable things were happening. And then gunfire erupted again. And our spouses laid atop of us again. And my spouse called to these four beautiful blonde girls, I'll never forget them, standing in the corner, huddled down, and said, when this stops, you need to run, you need to come with us, you've got to get out of here, you can't stay in here. And the gunfire did stop, and we tried to get them to come with us, and they wouldn't, and we had to leave them there. And we ran, and we had to take cover one more time in between some buildings that were inside the venue. And at that point, the gunfire ended, and we were able to run out into Las Vegas Boulevard. I would say the most important step that I took that night was listening and responding and not freezing. Listening, being aware of what was happening around me, allowing my spouse to guide me where I needed to go, and our friends, all four of us committing to what we were doing and doing it together, and no one holding someone back. I would say so much of knowing where we were helped us, but most importantly, just listening to each other and following our gut instinct to get us out of there saved our lives that night. I think I would have reacted quicker. I wouldn't have stood for a moment and said, what was that? I think I would have known instantly something's not right. I think that I would have potentially, now that I've had training, potentially not, although we had no option to run anywhere else, I do think a lot of what we did was all the right things that night. That's why we're alive today. After this incident, my life has obviously never been the same. I tell people I'm forever changed. However, I now know my exits at all time. I'm aware. I go to a mall, I know how to get out. I walk down the mall closer to the store entrances as I know I could get in there. I go to any kind of venue where there's numerous people and I want to sit on an aisle seat. I am aware of how I would get out of that if something, even a fire was to erupt. How am I going to get out? I would say I am overly aware of also watching people and being aware of something suspicious that might be going on and reacting if I had to that, and knowing that you have to say something. You know, there's a big saying now, especially in Las Vegas, since I've been back there, I've seen this in all the casinos where it says, see something, say something. And I'm committed to that. And I believe that this incident has made that part of my makeup of who I am now. I never walked through a group of people without looking, knowing how to get out of there. And I think about it every day. If it was to happen at my airport, what would I do? And I have probably 10 to 15 different options for different points at the airport of where I would go. And I think about it all the time. I no longer walk anywhere staring into my cell phone. I put it in my pocket and I look around and I walk where I'm going. I don't want to walk right into someone who is an active assailant and I'm right there and I could have done something, but I couldn't because my head was in my phone. And I ask people to stop doing that. I educate all my friends and family. I tell everybody, be aware, know what to do, because it's numerous people who help people survive. One person doesn't help. Everybody needs to know. You know, what I share with others when I talk about this in regards to preparing themselves is to really think about and let your mind go there. Most of us want to deny that we could ever be in this situation. I never dreamt the day that I agreed with my spouse and my friends to go to Route 91 on October 1st that I would come back a survivor of the worst mass shooting in all of US history. And you never know, so you need to allow yourself to go there. You need to allow your mind to think, if this happened right here where I'm standing, what would I do? And don't be afraid of researching it, looking on the internet, finding out what to do in the situation of an active shooter. Tell your kids, tell your parents. And the other greatest thing that I can tell you to do is not freeze. I would say that most people who go through the active shooter training in Edmonton, they come out of it saying, my biggest fear is I would be that person that freezes. You will not be that person if you allow yourself to think about it. Because thinking about it and practicing it in your head will allow your body to execute it when the time may ever come.